Hey everybody, Omar here, your Knife of the Party guy, and I am back with another fun-filled video for you. This channel, again, is dedicated to South African knife makers and South African knives. So if that's the world that you're looking to get into, this is the channel for you. So last week I did a video on my top 7. They were actually my top 7 large knives. The video I'm going to be doing now is my top 7 medium-sized knives. Now, this video is actually kind of, it's kind of important because medium-sized knives seems to be the perfect size that most people want to carry in their pockets. It's just, and the knife isn't so huge and obtrusive. So medium is kind of an important size range for everybody. So the reasons that I have chosen these 7, each one was chosen for a different reason. And I'm going to go over those knives right now and why it made my top 7. So let's get started. The first one is by Henny du Plessis. If the name doesn't sound familiar to you, it's not supposed to. He's a brand new knife maker. Henny du Plessis is one of these knife makers that's up and coming. He's at a point in his knife making skills now where he is able to make great quality knives with amazing fit and finish, and yet still aesthetically make his knives incredibly appealing. And he is, of course, doing things much differently than a lot of knife makers do. For example, Henny du Plessis does a sculpted backspacer, or I guess in this case you call it a back bar. You can see on the knife it's raised. That's one of the reasons why I picked this knife. I have never seen that on a knife before, where the backspacer is raised up like that. Another reason, believe it or not, price. For what you're getting on this knife, I paid $5.45 for this knife, and look at the materials that's on it. We've got a Damascus pocket clip. We've got Damascus pivot. You've got full fat carbon fiber scales. I mean, if this knife were made by, say, Trevor Berger or J.D. Van Deventer, this knife would easily cost you about $800. This knife cost me only $5.45, and I saw it not only as a bargain, but an amazing artwork as well. He also has a different look for blade shapes. I've never seen a blade shape like that before. That's another reason why I made my list. We've got sort of like a modified Wharncliffe style blade with a belly. I mean, I've never seen that. It's just a weird shape, but an appealing shape nevertheless. It's basically Henny du Plessis just being as creative as he possibly can. When you're a knife maker starting out, you want to distinguish yourself amongst your peers as somebody who's different, and Henny du Plessis has definitely accomplished that. So that's why this one made my top list, because the knife maker is new and he's doing things on his knives that I have never ever seen before. Plus, we're getting, we're getting a CTS XHP blade. I believe it's CTS XHP. I could be wrong, but I'll check up on that. So that's Henny du Plessis. The next knife to make my list is the Willem Steenkamp Raider Flipper. Or Raiden Flipper? Raider Flipper. This one was chosen for the aesthetics and the smoothness. Now, this knife, I've never felt a knife that feels like this. It's very smooth when you pop it out. Another reason was the size. It's perfect. It's a perfect size knife. The combination of materials used on this knife, we have got black carbon fiber with white twill for an inlay on both sides. We've got the silver theme running throughout the knife on the back, on the liners and the pocket clip and the pivot. I love that look. This knife kind of reminds me, if you've ever seen those old Hollywood movies where there's a cowboy in it in the 1950s where he's wearing like all white, like a white hat, white shirt, white vest, and silver spurs, that kind of thing. this would be his knife that he would be carrying in his pocket. So I kind of like that idea. It just looks very Western to me, this knife. It's just an amazing aesthetic combination on this one. We've got a 154, CPM 154, CPM 154 blade on this knife. Really fantastic drop point blade. I mean, so overall, just a combination of the way it looks. Another reason is the crown part. The top of the knife is crowned. I kind of love that. Usually, you don't see crowned on knives like this, too often. But when you do see it, you can tell that that's a really beautiful job on that. So for that reason, it also made my list as well. The Willem Steenkamp Raiden Flipper. The next one, believe it or not, this one is made by Erucus Flumeris. The reason this one made my list, heft and weight. This is a heavy sucker. It's a really heavy knife. Very nice, smooth action. We have an amazing sheep's foot blade on it. That looks really fantastic. You've got the Damas steel bolsters in combination with the marble carbon fiber on the knife with the blue titanium liners. It is just absolutely spectacular. And we've also got a carbon fiber backspacer on this one. So again, the combination of materials on this knife and the weight is the reason why it made my list on this one. It's just a beautiful, beautiful EDC carry. And I do love the fact that it is a heavy knife. That's a part of the art form also, is the weight. The way it's so heavy. I love that. The next knife to make my list, the A9. This is part of the A Square series. I have to get used to saying that. It's not A2, it's A Square. And this is the A9, one of their most popular models. We have got, and again, it's for aesthetics, and another reason, which I'll show you, or I'll tell you why it made my list. We've got carbon fiber with the copper strung in between all that. You can see little bits of copper shooting through the black carbon fiber. Makes it a really beautiful combination. I love copper and black. It just looks really great on a knife. I'm actually kind of sorry that they couldn't give me a copper pocket clip, because that would have just made the whole package even better. But, even this washed out version looks really nice as well. So, kind of subdues it. You've got a zirconium pivot. Always nice to welcome that zirconium pivot look. With a carbon fiber back spacer on this one. Now, the reason it made my list is because it is the only knife in my entire collection that has double row ceramic ball bearings. So inside the pivot, there's an inner circle of ceramic ball bearings, and then another outer circle of ceramic ball bearings surrounding it. So it's pretty much a double row knife. So the action on this is absolutely incredible on this A Square knife. So the A Square A9 knife, that's the reason it made my list. Aesthetics and the double row, the advantage of the double row action on that, the double row ceramic ball bearings. The next knife, this one made my list because this is from Andre Thorburn. This is probably his most popular model. It's called the L51 Compact Flipper in carbon fiber blue twill. I mean, that blue twill just really, really rocks on this knife. We've got amazing file work on here. Usually you don't see such intricate detail. This stuff is done by hand. Every file work that he does on his knives, each one of them supposedly is different. And this one is no exception. This knife is actually more like Andre Thorburns, kind of like production model knife. It's still a custom, but he's made, I don't know how many. I'm going to say he made maybe 50 of these L Compact flippers, each with different colored scales on them. This blue carbon fiber twill is not a one of a kind. He's probably, out of the 50, he probably made maybe 10 of these with the same exact blue carbon fiber twill. But it's so brilliant looking in color, you can't stop staring at it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful jeweled look. And that's why it made my top 7 list for the mediums. I do love the blue pivot as well. Everything on the knife is blue, including the liners on this thing. It just really, really makes the whole package that appealing. And the action is incredible. He has fall shut action. I mean, can you beat that? I don't think anybody can. This thing is drop shut smooth. L Compact 51 by Andre Thorburn. My next knife is a wonder from Des Horn. This is one of the more beautiful knives that I own in my collection. A full dress piece. The only full dress piece in this set here. Des Horn is real famous for his full dress pieces. People just eat them up. They don't care how much it costs, they'll just buy it. This knife is called the Shinkansen front flipper ball release. Obviously, one of the main reasons is the mechanics on the knife. This is a manual knife, and he basically reinvented the way we release the knife or close the knife. One of the things that is kind of really kind of scary about this hobby is the fact that when you own a liner lock knife, for maybe a second that you're going to close the knife, you're actually attempting fate. Because the minute you unlock that knife, you got to get your finger out of the way and then close the knife. Well, with this mechanism, the Des Horn ball release, that gets rid of that. You don't have to worry about getting your hand out of the blade because it's never anywhere near the blade. In order for me to close it, I press the button and then I close the knife. It doesn't even go anywhere near the blade like it did with the L Compact, where I had to take my thumb out of the way and then close the knife. So it's sort of a neat little safety feature, this ball release that he's created. He did try to introduce the ball release to all of his other knife friends, but they were not that interested because it looked like it was quite complicated to make. So, too bad for them, and yay for Des Horn, because this is an amazing mechanism, so he gets all the credit. And I love the way it works. Basically, you press the ball, and unlike on a liner lock, the liner there, that when I press the ball, liner there gets out of the way. On a regular liner lock, I would have to use my thumb to push that out of the way and then close the blade. With the ball release, it presses onto that liner, so I don't even have to touch it, and then I can just close the knife. So that mechanism alone is why it made my top 10 list. But let's take a look at the aesthetics. I mean, you're getting Damasteel bolsters, and then it kind of looks like it's melting into the carbon fiber, and the carbon fiber is laminated with the Gloss 2 spray on it, giving the knife an amazing sort of 3D effect. Like you can almost take your finger and go inside and touch those crisscross silvers that you see in there. It's really, really stunning. And then we got the file work, the intricate file work, which is even more intricate than Andre Thorburn's in many, many cases. Andre Thorburn really knows how to do it up with the made-by-hand concept. You're really getting a true work of art every time you get one of his knives. There is nothing left to chance on his knife. He wants to make sure that your eyes have plenty of candy, that you just can't stop looking at his knives. Just absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous knife. And the mechanism. So now the final knife, and that's why it made my top 7, was for the aesthetics and for the ball release mechanism that's inside the knife and the inventiveness of how he invented that. And yeah, it is too bad that it didn't become more of, the norm, because, maybe production companies could have used that. They probably wouldn't, use a ball. Maybe they would use something else. I don't know. Maybe a button or something. But the concept is slowly coming around to the production knife world. The Civivi, I believe, Elementum button lock comes to mind. It's sort of a similar mechanism, but a little bit different. Because you can actually press the knife, press the ball to close the knife, and then press it again to open it. With this one, you can only press it just to close the knife. It doesn't close. It doesn't open the knife when you press on the ball. The final knife was chosen specifically for aesthetics, and why the hell not? I mean, that's a good enough reason. This is the Lex K made by Trevor Berger. This is a one-of-a-kind handmade piece. Aesthetically, it's just absolutely gorgeous. We've got Damascus bolsters. And then we've got the marble carbon fiber. Absolutely fantastic. And for the backspacer, you get a full purple Damascus backspacer on that guy. Just absolutely beautiful. Complete with an M390 blade. It's just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful knife. And you also get the Damascus pocket clip I forgot to mention. Always seeing a Damascus pocket clip, that's kind of like a stunning extra on the knife, When you get the Damascus pocket clip, it's sort of seen as like a separate art piece on the knife. It's always nice to have it. So there you have my top 7. Again, some of them were chosen, for reasons other than the aesthetics, like the way that the knife was made by the knife maker, the fact that he was so inventive to make the knife sort of stand out amongst the crowd was always a reason. A lot of other reasons were strictly for the aesthetics. There's always something interesting going on with South African knives, and these 7 here really stood out as ones that I felt were absolutely top-notch. So this is Omar, your Knife of the Party guy, and I will be back in just a few minutes with the top 7 small knives. And then for my final video, I'm going to give you my top 3 knives in the entire collection. The large, the medium, and the small. So don't go away. We'll be right back with the continuing series of my top 7. And I'm going to pull out my top 7 small knives. And I'll see you guys in just a few minutes.